Trump says, hopefully, no need for military action against Iran. Trump weighs Iran strikes to inspire renewed protests, sources say. Russia condemns UN's conclusion on inapplicability of self-determination right to Donbass. UN chief criticizes US and China's power struggle. Iran bolsters military with 1,000 new combat drones. Donald Trump says he hopes to avoid military action against Iran, despite rising tensions and the deployment of a large U.S. naval force to the region. Speaking to reporters, Trump said he has already held talks with Iran and plans to continue diplomatic engagement. "I have had talks, and I am planning on it," Trump said, adding that U.S. military forces are moving toward the region, but that he hopes they will not be used. The comments come after Trump warned earlier that time was running out for Tehran over its nuclear program. Iran has responded with strong warnings. A senior Iranian military spokesman said any U.S. attack would be met with an immediate and decisive response, warning that American aircraft carriers and bases in the Gulf are within missile range. Iranian officials also cautioned that any conflict would not be brief or limited. Donald Trump is considering military options against Iran, including targeted strikes on security forces and senior officials, according to multiple sources. U.S. officials say the aim would be to create conditions for possible regime change, following Iran's violent crackdown on nationwide protests earlier this month that left thousands dead. Sources familiar with the discussion say the proposed strikes would target commanders and institutions Washington holds responsible for the violence, in an effort to encourage protesters to challenge government control. Trump has not made a final decision on whether to use military force. Other options under discussion include broader strikes against Iran's ballistic missile systems or nuclear enrichment facilities. Iran has resisted negotiations on its missile program, viewing it as a key deterrent against Israel. Russia has sharply criticized the United Nations over its position on Crimea and eastern Ukraine. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova on Wednesday called it outrageous that the UN says the right to self-determination does not apply to Crimea and the Donbass. Writing on Telegram, Zakharova said the UN Secretariat has recently reached a series of outrageous conclusions. Her comments came after Antonio Guterres told Russia's TASS news agency that the UN believes the principle of territorial integrity takes precedence over self-determination in the cases of Crimea and Donbass. According to Guterres, the UN Secretariat holds that the right of peoples to self-determination does not apply in these situations, arguing that existing state borders must be respected. The statement has further highlighted deep divisions between Russia and the United Nations over the legal and political status of Ukrainian territories. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has warned that today's global crises cannot be solved by one dominant power or by dividing the world into rival camps. Speaking at his annual press conference outlining priorities for the year ahead, Guterres said stability depends on a multipolar world rather than a system dominated by two superpowers. He specifically referenced the United States and China, rejecting the idea that the future should revolve around two competing poles. "If we want a stable world, lasting peace, shared development, and values that endure, we must support multipolarity," Guterres said. His comments come 1 week after U.S. President Donald Trump launched his proposed Board of Peace, initially intended to oversee the Gaza ceasefire and reconstruction. Although the initiative was first framed as operating under a UN Security Council mandate focused on Gaza, Trump later suggested the board could take on a broader role and potentially replace the United Nations. Iran has officially added 1,000 strategic drones to its military forces, according to state media. The move was ordered by Iran's Army Chief Commander Amir Hatami and applies to all 4 branches of the Iranian army. The drones were developed domestically by Army specialists, working with the Defense Ministry, and are based on lessons Iran says it learned from last year's conflict involving the United States and Israel. Officials say the new fleet includes combat, attack, reconnaissance, and electronic warfare drones, capable of striking fixed and mobile targets on land, at sea, and in the air. Speaking after issuing the order, General Hatami said the goal is to maintain strategic advantages, ensure rapid combat readiness, and deliver what he called a decisive response to any aggression. Iranian authorities say the country has made major advances in recent years in producing indigenous military equipment, reducing dependence on foreign suppliers.